Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kizer Shoal. Very, very interesting knife. One that, bears a passing resemblance to the Hinderer XM18. There is, of course, a lot of unique features, or there are, of course, a lot of unique features in the Shoal. We're going to talk all about them. This knife was sent to me by my good buddy @Justin the Hunter. That's a name you guys should be fairly familiar with. That's on Instagram, by the way, so give him a follow. It's because of people like him that I'm able to bring you guys daily knife content. It's also because of my generous patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, there is, of course, a link down in the description. Get your hands on some stickers and some other exclusive benefits. The support would mean the world to me. Anyways, let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. Overall length of the Kizer Shoal coming in at 8 inches. Blade length coming in at 3.5 on the dot. And cutting edge coming in at about 3.4. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons here. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at, 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue is coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Para 3 is coming in at 7.25 inches overall. I think it's important to point out to you guys, by the way, there'll be a link down in the description where you can pick this knife up, or at least some of the variants. This knife is about to be completely discontinued as far as I know, and they are on sale. You can get these for substantially less than they originally went for. So the review as of right now is going to be based on the fact that they are going out and that they are substantially less money than they used to be. The action on this guy is great. The flipper tab very much reminds me of an XM18 in terms of placement, but the shape is much better. It's not a hook. It's more of a comfortable lever. Funny enough, there actually is some jimping down here in the landing zone, but it's nowhere near as uncomfortable as an XM18. So don't concern yourself with that. This is truthfully a knife that you could flip all day. This area down here is very nicely knocked down. It's nothing to be afraid of. It also disengages a lot like a Hinderer XM18. The action is not quite as smooth. I don't necessarily feel like I should compare every last aspect of this knife to an XM18. It's so similar in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways that's pleasing, but it's way less money. The action is very good. It's not quite fall shut, but just with a little bit of encouragement, it goes down. Feels nice, very snappy. It's going to flip reliably every time. That's good. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check on this guy. Get out my handy-dandy WIA magnetic driver and WIA bit selector. Two items that are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them down in the Amazon store under the knife maintenance section. Check them out. Pivot is definitely going to be T8. That's T9. Get it together. I can hear Shaker going, label your bits. The pivot here, this spiral style pivot, is definitely T8. Actually, no, I think I'm wrong. Why don't you check that before you do the video? Because I kind of like to experience it right, in the moment so that I don't form a bias for or against the knife. Yeah, that's T10. Sorry, guys. Before I review it. And sometimes I do that with the hardware. It looks like perhaps the screws are a larger size. No, the screws are going to be T8. Well, here's the T8 bit right here. Yeah, the screws are T8. Fantastic. I really let's look at those screws again. Sometimes the hardware or the fasteners look good. That's a good looking screw. Can you imagine taking just that part out of, like somebody's like, what? I've heard of this Metal Complex guy. What are his reviews like? And they pop in and I'm like, look how nice that screw is. By gosh, that's a good looking screw. It is though. It is. I always thought the Strider screws look really, really good. I kind of like that heavy duty fastener look, and I'll give it to this knife. I honestly like those screws a lot. It's a silly detail, but I do. Really, really nice. There's a lot of them, but T10 and T8, you got some standoffs. You got 3 more in the back, Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm a big fan of that. I imagine it comes apart very similarly to other frame locks, so that's good. Carry profile. So this is titanium and a pretty thick blade, and it's got a flipper tab, and it's a full-size knife. So it's not a little knife. Let me go ahead and get a measurement there for you guys. Yeah, 155 thousandths, so pretty ZT-esque, approaching standard Hinderer thickness. The inside has no, I got my flashlight handy today, guys. No milling on the inside. It is solid titanium. Not overly thick titanium scales, but definitely solid. And it's, you know, fairly tall. We'll go ahead and weigh it here real quick. Weight on the Kizer Shoal, I'm going to guess 5 1/4. Oh, under 5 ounces. Okay. I like being pleasantly surprised, and I'm sure some of you do as well. Yeah, 4.87 ounces. That's fine. It's over the ounce and inch mark. This is not a athletic shorts knife. This is not a skinny jeans knife. This is a jeans or regular pants knife. If you carry nothing else in your pockets besides the knife and you're, you know, wearing what I consider to be regular pants, it's probably going to be just fine. If you're wearing tight or, you know, very thin pant material and you also carry other things, no, this isn't going to work. It's also very big. You know, it's not going to be legal in a lot of places. In terms of height and profile, up against the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3, two knives that have awkward carry profiles nobody ever complains about. Not quite as long as the PM2, but curiously very close to the Para 3. Am I being thrown off there? Yeah, I'm being thrown off a little bit. Longer than the Para 3. It's not quite as tall as either, even considering the flipper tab. And then thickness, really pretty impressive. I mean, you know, counting the pivot, I guess it's a little bit thicker, but it's really not bad. You know, I mean, I think that rock scale pattern there is thinning things down visually a little bit, but it's pretty good. So yeah, I mean, this is going to carry better if you regularly carry a ZT 0562 or Hinderer XM18. Yeah, you know, you're going to be very familiar with this knife. Then again, if you are carrying a ZT 0562 or Hinderer XM18, this knife is probably not one that you're interested in. This is a knife that, you know, to me is going to look appealing probably to people considering or thinking the 562 or the Hinderer look really good, but they're like, geez, that's a lot of money. Do I really want to spend that much? You know, I can get full titanium and S35VN in the Shoal right now for substantially less. So yeah, I suppose any full-size titanium knife hovering around the 5 ounce mark and around the 8 inch overall mark, I mean, this is going to carry very similarly to those. So if you're familiar with that realm, which a lot of people are, yeah, you're going to be no stranger to this. Let's talk about the anatomy here. These are full titanium scales that are very well done. In this case, keep in mind, there are many variants of this knife. Yes, you can get plain versions. You can get a little bit more elaborate versions without the rock scale pattern. Then you can get the rock scale pattern with the anodizing. I don't know what all is still available. From what I've heard, these here with the crazy anodizing colors, some people are going to like this, some people aren't. It's my understanding that you will not get the same colors every single time, and they won't be in the same place every single time. So when you go with the anodizing on this guy, it's kind of a dice roll. I think this looks good. It wouldn't necessarily be my cup of tea. I would go for a plainer one, but it certainly does look good as far as, like, you know, if you're going to go with more of a rainbow colored knife, yeah, it looks good. I mean, this is anodized titanium. The rock scaling is not aggressive. It is very smooth to the touch. In fact, it's very pleasant. This is enjoyable. Another part of my review that would be very weird to take out of context, just me going, yeah, this is enjoyable, right? Oh my gosh, please have people start at the beginning of my reviews so that there's context. But anyways, yeah, it's nice. It's nicely knocked down everywhere. You can see there, very, you know, a lot of attention on the rounding around the edges, things like that. We have S35VN on the blade, which you can see right there. This is a Kizer Ning design. I am not super familiar with that designer. I probably should familiarize myself a little bit more, but I'm not. Just reviewing the knife, you know, as it is. We have a satin finished, very, very Spanto-esque blade. That does not mean that they took the design from Rick Hinderer. We see this all over the place. The hollow grind mixed with the flat grind to the tip, right? I don't think Hinderer necessarily came up with that. He just, his own specific version of it and then called it the Spanto. The big difference between this and the Spanto is just some general shape, you know, down at the end here, but the recurve. This blade has a recurve. A recurve is beneficial in cutting. You know, the material, once it sort of glides through this area here, is then drawn into the belly, and a lot of people will argue it'll actually help with continuous cutting tasks where that's where you're connecting with the material. Yeah, I can understand that completely. The biggest problem with a recurve is that they suck to sharpen if you're, you know, if you've never sharpened before or you're a novice, which is most of us, right? Most of us are not intermediate or experts. We can get there with practice, but most of us aren't. A drop point blade or one with a straight edge that sort of rounds out at the edges is much, much easier to sharpen. So this is something that you're going to have to consider. Do I want to, tackle this, or, have to send it off? If I'm going to use it, do I want to send it off every time I need to have it sharpened, or do I want to try and learn, right? It's not a bad thing, but it's something you have to consider. All the edges are nicely rounded down, despite this being a satin finish. And I say that because tumbled blades kind of have this by default knocking down of the corners that would otherwise be sharp. But they did take some extra measures to knock this down. So for fans of a satin blade, you get to enjoy that look without having to worry about, are the corners sharp? Truthfully, I'm kind of tired of satin blades. I just see them on everything. And some people really like it. I just like a tumbled blade, and I think a tumbled blade would look a little bit more handsome on this, but that's an aesthetic thing. That's a personal thing, right? So I can't judge it on that. Otherwise, the blade looks great, and it's very, very sharp, absolutely. It's not super thick right here, but we have more of a hollow grind, and then up here, still not super duper thick considering how thick the blade was to begin with. Unlike an actual Spanto, it does not carry nearly as much thickness into the same areas, and you do have a nice pointy tip. This is a very utilitarian blade shape, and there is plenty of strength in that flat, carrying out to about 80% the length of the blade. Sorry for all the fingerprints. And it's, of course, S35EN, which is stainless and tough for a stainless steel. So, yeah, I've got no issues with that. Moving down to the pivot, it's a very typical Kizer pivot. I think they have, on a lot of models, this pivot has been present for a long time. I'm not really a big fan of it, but again, it's an aesthetic feature. Some people really like it. To me, it looks like a car rim from a Chevy Cavalier from like the early 2000s. I don't know why I'm coming down on it for the pivot. The pivot's totally fine. It's plenty functional. Really like the fasteners down here. I really like them. I know that's weird, but sort of the taper up, and then there's a lip or a flat, right? And then you've got nice deep T8 size heads there, and it looks really nice. You have a flat area right here, considering the rock scale pattern, it's got to be flat so that the pocket clip can connect to the other side. That's fine. Lanyard hole, if you like lanyards, very Hinderer-esque standoffs. Always like that. Nice open body construction, easy to clean out. The pocket clip looks a little bit out of place because it doesn't have the anodizing on it. If this were all one color, the pocket clip wouldn't look out of place, right? I don't know why they didn't extend the random anodizing to the pocket clip, because it's clearly titanium. I don't think it'll look nearly as awkward on if you're like me and you like a monochromatic look, you can get one. The pocket clip will look much more normal. It's not a deep carry clip. I wouldn't call it shallow. There's a fair bit of the knife sticking up out of your pocket, and that's because they emphasized the screw for this standoff before the pocket clip. I kind of wish that was a little higher. It's not that bad. It'll carry just fine. Pocket clip is not a swoop. It's not a bill. It's not really going to catch on stuff, and it's not sharp, right? And coming in and out of the pockets, I'm in sweatpants. It's got plenty of retention over jeans, things like that. If you're wearing really, really thick pants, you're going to have to fight a little bit, but it's fine. It's definitely going to hold on. We do have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop. Little tiny bit of lock stick. This is pretty new. I remember when Justin picked it up. Lock stick generally works itself out, and a little bit is never bad. It's only bad if you're having to use a tool. Excuse me, I'm going to get those fingerprints off of it. If you have to use a coin or a tool to unlock your knife, then the lock stick's bad. If not, don't worry about it. Yeah, you can put some lead in there and you can mess with it and it'll be, smooth for a little bit and then it'll start doing it again. Just let it work itself out. Lock stick is not necessarily bad. It just means that the lock is engaging properly with the tang. And over time, that lock bar insert or carbonized titanium lock face, repeatedly interacting with the tang of the blade will eventually work harden and smooth itself out to a point where it's locking up solid, but you're not, you're able to disengage it smoothly, right? So just let it work itself out. Some knives take a week, some knives take a month, they work themselves out. I've said this before. I've literally had one knife, and I've owned a lot of knives. I have had one titanium frame lock that had lock stick that was so bad that it had to go back. Every single other titanium frame lock or any knife that has had lock stick, it has worked itself out. Don't worry about it. But in this case, it's very minor. It looks like it's locking up at something like 30%, and the centering is solid. No detent lash, and the lockout is incredibly solid. So, again, what are the little things that I can complain about? Honestly, a lot of what I can complain about here is just like visually, like this isn't my cup of tea, but I can see why some people would like it. I would love a monochromatic version of this knife without the anodizing, just some kind of subdued natural titanium with the rock pattern and then a tumbled blade, and then make that recurve not a recurve, make it straight. Ooh, boy, change the pivot up a little bit and we'd have a serious winner in my book. Pocket clip is a little bit shallow. It's not crazy shallow. I wish they would have moved that clip out of the way. All right, the biggest thing for me is the fact that it's a recurve. That's not something that I'm interested in visually or, just over time, like with maintenance, stropping and stuff like that. But man, what a functional and nice knife, especially for the price. Right now, these are priced on Blade HQ for like $136.99. Jeez. This knife is worth picking up right now. I mean, it's so easy to overlook the little things that I'm nitpicking, right? It's so easy. The action's good. This is a solid knife. It's going to be easy to disassemble. It's made well. It's titanium. Some people are really going to like the looks. And if you like recurves, yeah, what are you doing? Pick this up. Easy. The original price on these was much higher. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember what it was. I feel like it was over 180. Might have been even higher at one point. This is a model that's been around for a while with Kizer, but at this price, oh, pick one up, man. Especially if you're like, I really like hinderers, but I just can't spend $425 for that right now, but I just really want, this Metal Complex guy's got me all into hinderers, and he has that one with a titanium scale, and I just really want a full titanium knife that looks like a hinderer. Here you go. This is great. It's still substantially less money than even the ZT-0562CF or TI. And again, you're talking about very similar dimensions, very similar action, very similar look, right? You just have a recurve. So yeah, I can recommend this knife. This review is not going to hold much bearing, here within a couple of months when the knife is completely gone. But I am very thankful to have, be able to handle this. This is a nice build. I suppose another difference here, it's worth pointing out, there are no external stops. The stop is actually a normal size stop pin. There's no shouldering or anything like that, but it's solid. There's no blade play up, down, left, or right. Fantastic. This is a cool knife. Check out all the different variants. I will try and leave as many different links as I possibly can if they are available. But yeah, get them while you can. So anyways, Justin the Hunter, thank you again so much for letting me take a look at this interesting knife. Give him a follow. If you guys enjoyed this video, do I really want to do an outro with fingerprints all over the blade? Part of the reason why I don't like satin finishes, but I should also keep my hands off. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.